you can see the descending tracts, your corticospinal tract and the extrapyramidal tracts, they all come and they end on the alpha motor neuron or through another some interneurons. Okay, either alpha motor neuron is directly under the influence of descending tracts or through some interneurons, it can have its influence. Okay. So, here is the muscle. The muscle will change in length. For example, when the muscle is stretched, its length is increased. Okay. So, when the muscle is stretched, what happens? The muscle spindle will get stimulated and the spindle afferents will go on end on the alpha motor neurons. Alpha motor neurons will cause the muscle to contract so that the length will become to its normal state. Okay. This is a feedback loop. Okay. This is the basic stretch reflex. Right. Now, this gamma motor neurons, which is also present in the spinal cord, that is the anterior horn of the spinal cord, that will also stimulate the muscle spindle so that the same effect is produced. Okay. And supraspinal, that is your higher centers, that is the supraspinal inputs, may stimulate the alpha motor neurons or may inhibit the alpha motor neurons also. It depends upon the balance between the inhibition and the facilitation by the supraspinal centers. Okay. Sometimes presynaptic inhibition can also happen from the spindle afferents before it innervates the alpha motor neuron. That is possible because of the interneurons, and that is what is Renshaw cell inhibition and all those things. Okay. So, this is about the stretch reflex. And we'll see about the spinal and the supraspinal control of the muscle tone. Usually the muscle tone is predominantly seen in the anti-gravity muscles, that is the flexors of the upper limb and the extensors of the lower limb. Spinal control, we just saw it is mediated by means of the stretch reflex. Your alpha motor neurons and the gamma motor neurons are responsible for the stretch reflex. Supraspinal control is done by means of the descending motor tracts, that is your lateral vestibulospinal tract, pontine reticulospinal tract and also the corticospinal tract predominantly. This picture will give you an information regarding the various areas, that is the various higher centers that has got influence over the muscle tone. Okay. So, in this picture you can see the light blue colored area starting from the motor cortex, basal ganglia, cerebellum, okay, and the reticular inhibitory area which is in the medulla. Okay. All these actually they have got inhibitory control over the muscle tone, okay, over the stretch reflex predominantly. The only excitatory area are the reticular facilitatory area which is coming from the pons, that is pontine facilitatory areas, and also the vestibular area, a small area here near the cerebellum. Okay. So, these two areas are facilitatory in nature. So, this picture shows you the supraspinal control of the muscle tone. So, from the cerebral cortex we have got the corticospinal tract which goes and crosses the midline and it goes and ends in the spinal cord. Mostly it is inhibitory in nature. Okay. And one other inhibitory influence is this medullary reticular formation. Okay. So, this is the dorsal reticulospinal tract. Via this, it goes and inhibits the spinal cord, that is alpha motor neurons. Then, the facilitatory areas includes the pontine reticular formation through the medial reticulospinal tract, goes and stimulates the spinal cord. Similarly, the lateral vestibular nuclei, vestibulospinal tract, that also goes and stimulates the alpha motor neurons. So, this is how the stretch reflex is stimulated and facilitated and inhibited by different supraspinal tracts, and thus the muscle tone also is dependent upon their influence. Okay, so the cerebral cortex, cerebellum, basal ganglia, vestibular nuclei, they all go and stimulate the bulboreticular facilitatory areas in the pons, that goes and stimulates the alpha motor neuron discharge of the spinal cord. On the other hand, again few influences from the cerebral cortex, cerebellum, they go and inhibit the bulboreticular areas in the medulla, that is, this is the medullary reticular area which is inhibitory. In the pons we have got bulboreticular facilitatory area, okay, which has got the opposite effect. So, pontine reticular formation stimulates the gamma motor neuron, medullary reticular formation inhibits the gamma motor neuron, and that will influence over the stretching of the muscle spindle and further activation of the alpha motor neuron that causes the muscle to contract. That is the maintaining of the tone. Okay. So what happens? What are the facilitatory area?